I love playing in the water. It's both my hobby and my job, and it's almost my entire life. But when the COVID outbreak happened in Taiwan, beaches and national parks and most waterfalls were closed. So instead of going out, I decided to build my own swimming pool. Now I can enjoy a refreshing cool swim in the hot summer sun from the comfort of my own home. This is a wonderful backyard pool, and it measures 5 meters by 2 meters and is 80 centimeters deep. It's incredibly fun to play in and costs a total about 12,000 NT to make, or a little under $400. In this video, I'll show you the creative process for how we got here and how we built this amazing pool. My old pool was a bit tiny, dilapidated, and really kind of sad. I wanted to go bigger, but concrete pools are expensive and I didn't have that kind of budget. We wanted something that was easy to clean, easy to put away, and expandable. So my friend came up with the perfect idea.
Were traffic barriers. We can fill these with water, so they'll be heavy.
Jersey barriers. These are hollow plastic road barriers which you can fill with water to provide extra mass to keep them in place. They aren't fancy, but they will do. I'm going to drape a tarp over them and fill it with water to create my pool. Each barrier is a meter long and 80 centimeters high. I hope to make a 5 by 2 meter pool with them. At first I was being too cheap. I thought that I could space the barriers out and use ropes to hold the tarp in place.
And as long as the rope is strong enough, it should keep this contained.
I used 6 barriers with 1 meter gaps between them, and I tried to make this work. It, of course, did not work. I was way too overconfident, and my first attempt at making a pool collapsed in my face in a giant tsunami.
Are you happy?
So I went back to the basics and tried to test the concept using only a 2x1 rectangle. I wrapped a strong rope around it 3 times to hold the water pressure in, but even this barely held the barriers in place, and many bent in the process. But it generally held, and it proved the concept would work. The water is muddy because it's raining heavily, and this is basically river water. With the core concept proven, we went ahead and got 8 more barriers for a total of 14. These could easily be configured into 2x5, 3x4, or smaller configurations, and easily expanded later by just ordering more barriers. The first step was to clear an area. I wanted it to be far enough away from the house so that a catastrophic failure wouldn't endanger the building, and also next to the drainage ditch which runs along the edge of the property. We mowed the lawn in this area and removed any sharp objects that might pierce the bottom. While clearing the ditch, I had the good fortune of discovering a pile of discarded lawn stakes. These were going to come in handy later. We put down some old tarps on the bottom to protect the new tarp from punctures, and arranged the barriers in a 5x2 pattern that we wanted for our pool.
Wow, 真男人.
So strong.
Then we began the long, slow process of filling up each barrier with water.
你开水了吗?
5 by 2 by 0.8 is 8 tons of water. So of course, if there is a failure, we need to make sure it doesn't flood up against the house and cause problem there. So we built it on this side, which is right next to a drain. So under here is basically a gutter, which goes straight to the edge of the property and dumps it into the river, which is good because this water is actually just coming from the spring right at the mountain, right at the start of the river. And so it comes in, it'll come into our pool, and then we'll just let it constantly overflow into the gutter, and so it'll go right back into the river. We're not using any water with this setup, we're just borrowing it.
Unfortunately, something happened to the pipes coming from the water source. After a few weeks of rain, the city, or whoever, tried to clear the drainage ditch along the road from debris, and in the process they damaged our water supply lines. We were without water for the next 2 days. Couldn't even shower. After the water came back on, I spent the night filling the barriers.
It's super slow, it takes about 40 minutes to fill each one.
Some of them I carelessly overfilled and they began to deform. This is what happens if they are more than half full with water.
这个是你3个月的肚子.
There we go. Alright, so
I needed to fill them up halfway and then fill them up the rest of the way after the pool was half full to balance the pressure.
You can see a lot of these been bent out of shape, and so what we're going to do now is put the tarp inside, fill the pool up about halfway so it's got water pressing on the outside of this to push them back into shape, and then we'll fill these up more and then fill the pool up all the way.
After the barriers were full, then we could put the tarp on and put ropes around the perimeter to secure the barriers. The plastic stakes I found in the gutter were perfect for helping to secure the barriers and preventing them from moving when the pool is full. And then we began to fill the pool. The water pressure was less than it used to be before the pipe problems, so this took much longer than expected. The pool holds 8 tons and the hose was just barely trickling in. It took most of the day just to fill it up halfway, and I didn't dare let it run at night for fear of catastrophe, so I turned off the water and went to bed. It was a good thing too. In the morning I saw that this setup wasn't going to hold, so I took a few old ropes from the garage and tied them around the base for add extra support. There were a few minor issues, but nothing too difficult, and the pool held up pretty well.
See here that the immense water pressure is really like buckling these and pushing them in. So I put another peg here. This is our last peg. I did a walk around the perimeter, I didn't see any more. But the other one seemed to be holding in place. I think this one failed because I had it too far to the edge, not in the middle. Pretty nice, clean, and neat. And now it's raining. You know what? I'll jump in after it stops raining.
Hard work and patience really paid off. It was full enough to play in the afternoon. This is a fantastically fun toy to have in our yard, and now we play in it every day. After 4 days in the sun, the pool is still very clear and clean. Some pieces of grass have been tracked in, but the water feels fresh and the tarp is not slippery at all. The spare hose I used to make a siphon drainage system appears to be working, and the pool stays at full capacity with most of the excess water going directly into the ditch. The water flows in at about 3 or 4 liters per minute, cycling the entire pool every 36 hours, and flows back into the stream about 1 kilometer farther down.
Let's have our first wildlife in the pool, some kind of swimming insect. And we also noticed there's been a lot of dragonflies around here, but duck came and landed on that tree and woke us up this morning. It was going like rah, 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 and I came out to take a picture of it, but then immediately flew away. I wonder if one day we're just going to wake up and there's going to be a family of ducks playing in the pool.
It is a very nice setup and appears to be holding up so far, although there is some deformation of the plastic barriers, which is causing them to lean outwards. Had my tarp been wider, this wouldn't be an issue, but as it is, it's reaching the limits of how wide it can go.
The water pressure against these barriers are just too great. Even with water in them, they still start to deform.
So far it appears to be stable, but if it continues to expand over the next month, it may cause some problems. I may do a follow-up on this later on. This pool has been a great companion for keeping me happy during COVID level 3, but I can't wait to go back out and do some kayaking and river tracing and jumping into the cool mountain streams. Hopefully this will be the last of Taiwan's COVID experience. I hope all of you are staying safe and in high spirits. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.